Hey there, Philly Girl fans! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're tackling a huge issue that could shake up the horse racing world. New tariffs between the U.S. and Canada. These trade rules might make it tougher for our four-legged stars to cross borders, and that's bad news for racing fans. Stick around for the full scoop, plus some history on why this border matters so much to horse racing. So, what's happening with tariffs? What exactly is going on? Starting April 2nd, 2025, the U.S. plans to hit all Canadian goods with a 25% tariff. And yes, that includes racehorses. The Canadian Thoroughbred Horse Society, or CTHS, dropped a bombshell advisory recently. They said owners will need to secure a 30-day customs bond to bring a horse into the U.S. That means a cash deposit, 25% of your horse's value, plus proof of what it's worth. If your horse heads back to Canada within 30 days, you can apply for a refund, but you'll need solid proof, like a border services date stamp. Sounds like a headache, right? But here's the kicker. If your horse stays longer, like for a big race or breeding season, that tariff sticks. You're paying 25% extra just to compete. But wait, Canada's not sitting still. They've already rolled out their own 25% tariffs on $29.8 billion worth of U.S. goods, starting March 13, 2025. So far, that covers stuff like steel, aluminum, and even whiskey. But there's worry it could eventually hit U.S. horses or racing services too. This back and forth could raise costs for everyone in the industry, from owners to fans buying tickets to the races. Let's break down what this means for horse racing. First, breeders are freaking out. And I don't blame them. Many Canadian breeders send their horses to the U.S. for the breeding season, especially in early 2025. But with these tariffs looming, they're thinking twice. The extra cost or the hassle of refunds might not be worth it. That could mean fewer Canadian horses in American races. Think about stars like the 2024 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf winner, who came from Canada. We're talking about a legacy of cross-border champs that might take a hit. It's not just breeding. Sales companies, stallion farms, and even the folks who transport horses are feeling the heat. If it's too expensive to move horses back and forth, demand for Canadian thoroughbreds in the U.S. could drop. Across the internet, people are sounding the alarm. One user called this the nail in the coffin for Canada's horse population, especially out west, where the industry is already struggling. Owners there have been begging for better incentives. And now this? It's a double whammy. Even short trips for races could get messy. Imagine you've got a horse racing in the Kentucky Derby or a big stakes race in New York. Normally, you'd cross the border, race, and head home. But now, you're stuck dealing with customs bonds and deposits, or paying a huge tariff if your horse stays longer. It might make owners think, why bother? That's a big deal for a sport that thrives on international competition. Now let's take a step back. Why does this border even matter so much? Horse racing between the U.S. and Canada has a long, amazing history. For decades, horses have been crossing freely, competing in races like the Queen's Plate in Canada or the Belmont Stakes in the U.S. Some of the biggest names in racing history were Canadian bred, like Northern Dancer. He won the Kentucky Derby in 1964 and became one of the most influential sires ever. His bloodline is still in tons of racehorses today. The Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto is another big player. It hosts the Canadian Triple Crown and draws American horses all the time. On the flip side, Canadian horses often head south for warmer climates in winter, training in places like Florida or Kentucky. It's a two-way street that keeps the sport thriving. But if tariffs make that street a toll road, we could see fewer horses crossing, fewer epic rivalries, and maybe even smaller fields in some races. That's not just bad for the sport. It's bad for the fans who love watching these incredible animals compete. So what's next? Well, it's not all doom and gloom, there's still hope. Some experts think these tariffs are just a negotiation tactic. The U.S. and Canada might strike a deal before the April 2nd deadline, and this whole mess could be avoided. Plus, the rules for live animals like horses aren't totally clear yet. Maybe there'll be an exemption for racehorses. We'll have to wait and see. There are two sides to this coin. Some argue tariffs could protect U.S. breeders by making American horses more competitive. But others warn it'll hurt everyone. Think job losses, higher costs, and supply chain chaos. For now, the racing world is on edge. If you want to stay in the loop, keep an eye on updates from the Canadian Thoroughbred Horse Society or the U.S. Customs Service. They'll have the latest as we get closer to April. As you can see, tariffs could really change the game for horse racing in 2025. Will they stop our favorite horses from crossing borders, or will a last-minute deal save the day? Should borders stay open for horse racing? Drop your comments below if you're a racing enthusiast or work in the industry and have a strong view. If you found this video at all informative, please do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe down below. Thank you for joining me.